Hello. Okay, I'm going to say it like this. Welcome to the show. Welcome to Lostlikemike. I'm your host, Mike Gonzalez, here to do another installment, another episode of Lostlikemike. I'm having to restart the program because my memory card was full. And it kept stopping. I deleted a bunch of files. Lord help me if it stops again, because it's funny because I was just thinking about signs today. I was doing a performance. I was at one of my shows making music. They have TVs going on the right, and there was you never know. I looked up at the weird second, and there was a commercial on, and the message said about Jesus having anxiety also. And for some reason, it hit me in a weird way that I wasn't expecting. I wasn't ready for. And another one too. I'm not very good at reading this particular one, but I read something about a butterfly earlier. No context, nothing about it. It was just something about butterfly tattoos. And for some reason, I've just been, I guess because I put it in my, I tapped into it somewhere in my subconscious or whatever, but I've been just seeing a ton of them on tattoos and actual butterflies, and just butterflies been a theme all day. I've just been seeing hundreds of them. Several tattoos, but hundreds of butterflies. Not only the migration, but just like in the bushes out in my front yard. And then a significant number of the tattoos, I guess. Enough to make me feel like I've been seeing it several times. Okay. Reason I brought up signs is because my phone, it stopped working several times while trying to record this episode. And so a part of me feels like, hey, maybe it's a sign you should take a break, whatever. Maybe that first episode that I just did right now sucked. Maybe I'm going to intersplice it into this one, because there were some things that I talked about and I couldn't sit there and listen to it again. I know I made a point about how my voice was going out and it's a little scratchy or whatever. And that I couldn't quite remember whether I had discussed it on a previous podcast. And I thought to myself that was a positive thing, because it meant that I'm really stream of consciousing this, if that's how you say it. I'm really just not editing it. I'm just putting it out there. This podcast is 100% about me sharing my thoughts, sharing what's on my mind, and hopefully relating to the listener by being honest. And so I don't remember every little thing that I talk about, because I'm just saying whatever's on my mind. And sometimes I'll have notes as to particular subjects that I want to get into, what have you. But recently, I haven't really been following a lot of that. I've kind of just been sharing stories or thoughts as they come. It's a little bit more organic that way. And ultimately, that's my pursuit, is to try to do that. But I'm not out of the woods 100%. My voice still fails me. I did a show performance I sang on Thursday night. My voice made it about two and a half hours into the 4-hour show. But it was more than I expected. I was pleasantly surprised. And today I am recording this on a Saturday. And so I had a performance today, and I made it, about 90% quality. But I made it, throughout the whole show. So, this is about the extent of it. You can hear it in my voice. You can hear the little gravelness to it. I was thinking about how you're as good as your last show, and lately I've had a very, very bad string of shows by my standard. So, wow, that sounds like humble bragging. No, what I'm trying to say is I've got into it in the past discussing validation coming from other people and how you can't really take compliments from others. Because if you do really take them to heart, then you have to also take the negative. And I guess you could say that you have to be intuitive enough to know whether somebody's being sincere in their compliment or their criticism. Because I suppose it is possible that that somebody could authentically be enjoying what they're hearing or seeing. So I guess in a sense, I shouldn't just shut the whole thing off. But I think sometimes when you talk about the motivations of people sharing negative things, a lot of times it is because they're trying to crush you or make you feel bad so they can feel good. And there's not really a lot of constructive criticism out there. People don't just walk up and say, have you ever thought about gargling some salt water, get rid of some of that raspiness or that phlegminess? No, people are usually just like, why do you play shows? Because you suck. I'm not saying they say that. I'm just saying, like, I'm trying to picture like a negative thing. Like, I remember once there was this, I hung out with somebody for a long time and never knowing that they were super negative, and really holding me back. And we got disconnected, as people do, over time. And I saw them years later, and we were in a bar, and they said to me, one of the first things out of their mouth was, damn, you got old, huh? It was, and the way they said it, and I'm probably even rephrasing it a little bit because it came out it was so loaded, and I was like, why would you say it that way? Why would you say what you said and say it that way? But it rang in a different way than it never rang before when I talked to them in the past. It was almost as if in the time that I was away, I'd grown and I'd seen what negative people can do to you. And then this person had not changed, was just the same as they'd ever been, and just spewed their toxicness all over me. And it was one of the few times in my life where I reacted I processed it all, I thought of it, and just spoke. I just said, that's why we don't hang out, or something to that effect of, go with God, be good, and have a good life. But yeah, I don't need that shit in my life. So I turned around and walked away. And I never saw them again. But, yeah. And I wish I remember exactly what they said. But I mean, it was something like that. Like you didn't age well, or just, it's just whatever they said just was so unnecessarily vile. And it all came back to me. All of the years of hanging out and being like, feeling like that was what it meant to be a good friend, and it wasn't. It was very harmful, because there was never any playfulness to it, never any rhyme or reason other than to make them feel better about themselves. So, anyway, I have my issues with giving credence to compliments or to criticism. But so when I say "you're as good as your last show," it's something I've probably talked about it in the podcast before. My father used to say it, but he was a performer as well. But for me, it's my own judgment of how well I did. My metrics are basically, there is a lot of validation from the audience, but not like clapping or things like that. Sometimes I could tell, either in conversations with folks, expressions on their face. I have my ways of feeling like good or bad about a performance, because it's weird. You could be 100% on point. Your voice is doing everything you want it to do, and people don't care. Like, whether the college football game's on or some baseball game or whatever it is on the TVs, or whether they're having some bachelorette party or whatever it is. You're not the priority of the night or the day. You're not the event that's going, you know what I'm saying? Like, you could be a juggling clown for all they care. They're just there to drink their beers and eat the chicken wings or whatever. So, I mean, but sometimes you can be coming off of whatever this is, some sort of, cold or whatever it is, and sound the way I sound, and people would be really into it, thinking that that you did a really good job. So there's really no rhyme or reason on that aspect of it. Sometimes you get, a lot of compliments where you don't really feel like you deserve them, but like today, it felt really good to hear. I was at the bar and some couple was talking about how the only reason they were there was to listen to me sing, and could I sing this song or that song, and because they thought that my voice would complement the song well, and just seemed real sincere, and it felt good to hear that, even though internally I felt like my expression is not 100%, but I'll take it when it comes off that sincere, I apologize that I may be drinking a lot on the show. If you're listening only and not watching, I don't know if there's even any ice left in my cup. There wasn't the last time I was recording, and needless to say, that was deleted. So no big deal, but I apologize for drinking a whole bunch. Yeah, I definitely could hear the ice. Anyway, so, but it really drove me crazy that the video stopped. And if you're watching this on YouTube and you see me looking at the center of the camera, I'm checking the timer, making sure that it's continuing to go. Because I stopped it thinking that it was something with the charger or something with power. I restarted it, I should say, and then it stopped again after 5 minutes. And you have to understand that the first time, I mean, Lord knows how long I was going. I was already 3 stories deep, and I look up and the timer's on zeros, and it didn't record 2/3 of what I'd done. And it's super annoying because you get a groove, you get a stream of consciousness going, and you start just, you feel like you're on point, and then alas, you're not. So I think, but we're back, we're on it, we're going to have fun talking about these different things. Hopefully I remember some of the subjects we talked about. I know I was talking about celebrity. By no means am I. No, I'm not a celebrity. I'm saying the idea of not being a celebrity, like wanting to do what I do. Yeah, that's how it came up to be. So obviously validation doesn't have to come from applause or from compliments. And I never understood why there were artists or celebrities that didn't want the limelight, but felt that they had to subject themselves to the limelight in order to do their craft. When there's a lot of different things that you can do behind the scenes. Like as a musician, you could be a songwriter. You can write and record songs for soundtracks, for video games, or for movie and TV, and no one would ever know you. You could be a session musician and just be as popular as you want to be, but at the same time live in obscurity because you're only known within certain circles, and that is true for an artist, writer, whatever you want to be. I never understood. I always had this saying that if you don't want to be famous, it's easy to not be. Just don't leave your house. Don't put out a product. Just jam in your basement and you can live in obscurity for the rest of your life. Super simple. It's much harder to gain any sort of notoriety. I mean, yeah, it's simple math. So I never understood why people had that mentality, but I remember we were in this original rock band playing music, and we became a house band, or like the headlining band in Austin at this one place called the Black Cat Lounge. We started on Wednesday nights, and built up a crowd playing every Wednesday, and we're promoted Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. We went to being the headlining band on Saturday nights there on 6th Street in Austin, which used to be like and this was like in the early 2000s or whatever, where it was pretty popular. 6th Street in Austin, if you ever go down that way. Now it's like different streets. I'm not going to pretend to know. Figure it out. But it used to be 6th Street. And needless to say, we were playing down there for a very long time, building up our reputation, or as far as like on the street and playing a lot, and would get pretty packed. So one time I was at this restaurant, and this young kid comes up, like a teenager or whatever. Maybe he was 20-something. I don't know. He's a young guy. He's like, "Hey, aren't you in that band that plays all the time at the Black Cat Lounge on Saturday nights?" And I was like, "Yeah, that's me. Haha, whatever." And then he goes back to his seat. Or some taco place in Austin. Stupid. And I don't know what came over me, but in my mind I thought, well, like I was with a group in the band and stuff, and I was thinking, like, I had this in my mind where, like, as being a person who's recognized, like, you always hear stories about people being like not cool, like, dude, I'm trying to eat, or like, so I don't know what possessed me or made me think that this was the right way to act, but I got up and I went to his table. I was like, "Hey, cool that you." I can't even. It's so cringy that I can't even tell the story. I went to his table, like, "You recognize me? You want to hang out?" I mean, I don't know why I thought that would be the cool thing to do, is to go over and, like I was going to make his day by going over and sitting down with him. I think he was like, "All right, dude, I get it. I shouldn't have, bothered you while you're eating," because he was basically saying that I was bothering him while he's eating. I was like, no, it's cool. I thought maybe we could be friends. I don't know why. But yeah, super embarrassing. I don't know why I did that, but I thought I was being the cool, recognized person. I remember years later, I was working a day job as a ticket seller at a movie theater. I was in a ticket booth selling tickets for movies. And a man comes up to my window. I'm wearing a name tag, so I don't know what to include me in. But he said my name. He said, "Aren't you so-and-so? Aren't you Mike Gonzalez? You know that? Aren't you Mike Gonzalez? Is that you?" And I guess because he was wearing like a Hawaiian shirt and he had kind of shoulder-length hair, I thought he was a rock and roller for some reason. And I was like, "Yeah, that's me. You got me." And then he was like, "Well, you've been served." And he served me my divorce papers. Yeah. And his smile, man, it's like he'd been sitting on that one forever. Like, he knew exactly what he was doing. But, yeah, so I don't have a lot of luck with getting recognized for positive things, but that was another time I got recognized. So silly. My son, 17-year-old, just got his driver's license this week. Pretty proud. I'll backtrack and tell a little bit about the process of this, though, because 17's young. All right. I have to admit something. I illegally drove for all of my teen years. Sorry, state of Texas. It's the truth. I don't know what. I had an ID, but I didn't have a driver's license. I went for a long time not having one either. Because I moved out of the house. I was staying in different places or whatever, but I just illegally drove. Like, I remember I tried to impress this one girl this one time. We got pulled over. I get a ticket for no license, no insurance. I think I didn't make a complete stop on a red. Anyway, and she's sitting in the front seat crying her eyes out while the cop's like telling me off or whatever. But yeah, I don't know why, but my son was always wanted a license. He's wanted to be legit. So, and this is maybe like a year in the making. So we signed him up for the online courses and all that stuff. Parent taught. I did the driving portion, stacked up his miles, and let him drive my car basically. And but like originally when he was 16, he wanted to get a hardship license. He was going to justify it by like he runs errands for his great grandparents and for his mom and stuff, but he couldn't get the paperwork together, couldn't get stuff together. So I signed him up for the courses. I don't blame his mom. We all kind of like let certain aspects of the process lag, where we didn't, force it through. But it's just been a long time coming. Okay, so it's a year in the making, right? A lot of time he's waiting for his birth certificate, and then so he starts calling me and being like, because his mom couldn't find his birth certificate. The long and the short of it, we ended up having to get a copy of the birth certificate, and I ended up having to do it because they couldn't do it. They couldn't get it all together, whatever. So about maybe a month and a half ago, he calls me and says, "Hey, is there any way we can get in there and do the driving test? Because I've got all my stuff. I'm ready to go." And I'm like, "You're all done?" Because we finished the driving portions, but you're all done? You're ready to go? And he's like, "Yeah." So I said, "Cool." I go to my job. I take half day off. I schedule it, get it all done. Because Department of Public Safety, you have to do appointments now. You can't just like... I mean, I guess you could just show up. Because we tried to. We went... when we were doing the hardship license, I tried to make a trip down to the DPS, and they were like, you need signatures and doctor's notes. I don't know, there's a bunch of junk, but point being, we were able to get in, but they were like, typically you're going to need to make an appointment because you'll be spending the whole day here waiting for an opportunity to get seen. So, all right, about a month and a half ago, I book it. I take my half day. I go pick him up. And so he's 17. He gets in the car. He's staring at his phone. Pressing buttons on his phone, staring at his phone. I'm like, teenager, typical, I'm thinking. But he's kind of like frustrated, and he's clicking away, and hey, like, what's going on, man? Like, you're stuck on that phone, you're staring at it. You haven't said 2 words to me, what's going on? And he's like, well, I'm doing this last chapter of videos. It's like a recap, and I should be done any minute. But these videos, you have to watch them all the way through, and you have to answer these questions. What did I said, wait a minute. What are you talking about? You're watching videos pertaining to the class now? We're driving to the place. What are you talking about? Anyway, he said, no. Look, it's just the last chapter summaries. Just don't worry, I'll be done with plenty of time to spare. Okay. Well, we had to book, because the way it works is you have to set these appointments. So I just basically looked for the soonest appointment rather than the closest one to us. So the soonest was on that day, but it was like 40 minutes away. So I told him, look, we're going to be about half an hour away. You should be done before then. He's like, yeah, absolutely. That's right. So we're driving to this place. We arrive at the place, and he's like, man, that was fast. I said, no, it wasn't. Why, are you still doing videos? He's like, yeah, just finishing this last couple, whatever. We go in. We're sitting in the waiting area with a full house of people, which I'll tell you about my thoughts on why I don't like being in any government office where you're waiting in line or waiting in a waiting room with a bunch of people. Why it's not fun. I'm sure many of you know it's not fun. But we get our number, A, whatever, 20, whatever, it doesn't matter. And look at the card, look at the TV where it says now calling, whatever. And I tell them, we have an appointment, so be ready. Any minute it can happen. We're going to have to go. You better be done. I'm filling out paperwork. I said, look, I'll concentrate on the paperwork. You do the videos. Let's go. So I'm working on it. And sure enough, boom, they call our number. We go up to the window. He's still watching videos. Lady says, do you have your certificate? And mind you, my thoughts are, he's all done. He's got his learner's permit on the little ID thingy. And they should have everything there. That this was supposed to be for the driving portion. So I tell him, no, he's here for the driving portion. They said, no, there's a certification that he's supposed to print with the class. I said, well, he's done with it, class. So yeah, can I just email it to you right now? Sure, do it. I tell him, let's go, son. You done? He's like, just about, Dad, whatever. And they said, the lady says, and did he watch these other videos for like scares, the ones that scare the kids straight, like to not drink and drive and to not recklessly drive or whatever. But she's like, basically she said, there's another series of videos at the tail. Did he watch this as well? Long story short, we walked out of there with nothing. No license, no, he was still watching videos. I'll put it that way, on the way home. I said, I'm super disappointed. This was like a masterclass in procrastination. I don't know what you're thinking. Give him a little bit of the riot act, but I understood. He honestly thought that he was done, and he didn't know what these videos. But my whole thing was, maybe it's me projecting, but whenever I have something, even whenever I wanted something, I was always growing up, whatever, thinking, is there any possible way that somebody can screw me out of me getting this that I want? I'm going to have all my ducks in a row because I'm super scared that the rug's going to get pulled out from under me. And I thought everybody was like that. But maybe not. Because he's been very fortunate in his life to where, he can fly by the seat of his pants and sort of things just work out for him, right? So we're driving home and I say, listen, man, I love you, but if you want to get this done, you want to get your license, your mom's going to have to take you. Because I took time off work. I did everything I could. I did my part. And this was not productive. This was not good. So next one's on you, partner. So a couple days later, he calls me up and he says, hey, mom booked it several months from now in the future. Is there any way that you can look for an earlier, like, you seem to have luck finding appointments sooner than later. So I said, sure, I guess I can look. I go online right away, 2 weeks from now. I see a driving portion of the test, whatever. Because the lady had said to make sure that I sign up for the right kind. I sent him the message, say, here's your confirmation. Y'all have fun. Tell your mom I got it a lot sooner so you can get it over with. 5 minutes later, his mom calls and is like, why did you move the date? And I said, well, y'all asked me to. And she said, I didn't ask you to. It's like one big setup. So I said, well, he asked me to set it up sooner. What? Well, she says, I can't take him on that day. So I said, well, what day can you take him? I'll go ahead and switch it back. You switched it, now you take him. So it seemed like it was one big, hustle. But I get back on the phone with my son and I tell him, listen, man, I'm not taking you. You need to send me all the evidence that everything is done and that it's going to be without issue this time, because otherwise I'm not doing it. And so he sent me photographs of he had to send me photographs of his certification paper, everything. So we went back to the same place to do the driving test. I'm telling you. I mean, I was very ready to be defensive, because the lady calls us over to the window and, do you have all your papers? Did mom sign all the right forms? If not, then you're going to have to leave. Everything was, or you're going to have to leave. You won't be able to be seen today. And so I was very defensive, like, look, lady, here's our stuff. Cut it out. I mean, I can't stand being in public places like that with so many people. One guy was shaking his legs, like, like that nervous leg thing that people do when they're kind of bringing their legs, like they're sitting down and they're bringing their knees back and forth. And it was wafting up this smell. I can't even tell you what the smell was, other than bad. But it's like he was like pumping it out into the air. I was like, dude. And the guy next to him was trying to suck something out from the middle of his teeth. And for 20 minutes, just, And then this guy pumping it, and it was just, and this one lady had her arms crossed and she just would cough just out into the air. Just, oh, did it get you? Let me shoot some more your way. That was gross. I probably did gross things too. I don't even know. But he only missed 2 points out of the whole test. The lady was all impressed with him behind the counter, and the testing proctor was also impressed, but it turned out he only missed 2 points, and the 2 points he missed was because when he parallel parked, he didn't put his blinker on. Guess who showed him how to parallel park and did not tell him to put his blinker on? His instructor. My bad. Matter of fact, I made him practice several times, and never once did I tell him to put the blinker on. So, but not only did I not tell the instructor that, or the lady behind the counter, I made the joke when she said, "Wow, only 2 points. You missed only 2 points. That's so impressive." And I was like, well, I was his instructor, so I'm not saying it's because of me, but it's because of me. But yeah, so I took credit for his his win, even though I was the reason he didn't get a perfect score. But all in all, I'm not too mad about the whole ordeal. Plus, it's done. He's got his driver's license. I mean, his birthday's like 6 months from now, or no. Oh yeah, like a whole year from now. So yeah, I mean, a little early. I mean, good for him. We'll get into all of his junk about his car, getting him to, a vehicle to drive in the future. But yeah, that's about it for that. I was thinking about if you have an inventor's mind, like if you're creative and you want to invent things, or I like to do that. I think that'd be great. When I was in college, we talked about being an entrepreneur, and you think about creating products and stuff. I'm telling you, the number of times that I've created something or thought of an idea. Okay, like for example, my wife, she said back when she was young, she thought, oh, trash bags are stinky. They should have scented trash bags so that trash wouldn't be so stinky, right? And then flash forward however many years, and she's like, I invented good smelling trash bags. I don't know why I made her sound like that, but it's just my voice. Yeah. Or I had a buddy that always would talk about how he had suggested that they put Tabasco sauce on Doritos. All right. So, but anyway, when I was in college doing my inventions portion of the entrepreneurial courses, what we had to do was come up with a product and be inventive in our creations, and then we would develop the product as a part of the course. But that's what I'm saying. Like, you never feel like you're if you say something that's far-fetched, or if you say something that's funny, that seems like it'd be a good idea, but it seems funny at the same time. All those things should be written down and done. Like, we were sitting in class and they said, the professor was like, somebody had to come up with these ideas, like the I've fallen and I can't get up. The old lady's on the ground and she's hitting a life alert. Well, somebody invented that, right? So he's telling this story and he's saying these things. And then so they separate us into our groups and we start talking. And then I said, thinking about I've fallen, I can't get up, and pressing the button and all that, right? And I start giggling and I said, oh, wouldn't it be funny if an old person had an outfit that they would wear and it had built-in airbags. So if when they fall down, their butt would go and they would hit the ground, right? And then they would be in a bubble or whatever. Oh man, I got a kick out of it, right? But then flash forward, and it's like a multi-million-dollar industry that is super huge in Japan right now, where I'll have to put it up on the screen or something to show this product, right? Or I had another one where I had said that there should be something on your spine that when you slouch, it would go out of alignment with the indicators, these signals, and it would like beep or like whatever, give some kind of indication that your posture's sucking. And then you sit up because you don't want to, whatever it is, right? Or, I mean, I wouldn't go so far as to shock you or something, but. And then I was watching TV the other day and they were talking about this thing that people wear that alerts them when their posture's out of alignment, and beeps or whatever it does, sends a message to their watch or whatever, that one was a good one. My wife gets a kick out of shooting me down though. Like I had this one where I said, because I was watching this commercial and it was a sleepy looking guy driving his kid in a car seat in the back seat. And I said, well, why don't they have like a car seat that hangs on a swing or something in the house, or that vibrates and simulates a car ride and makes the white noise of like driving, like it sounds like it's a car going. And she's like, oh, they've had that for years. And I'm like, bullshit. I don't know who has it. But anyway, because half of the people that will listen to this will be like, wow, that's a good idea. And the other half will be like, oh, they've had that for years. So whatever. But if you want to invent something, all you have to do is think of a problem that currently exists. Something that is annoying or time consuming, or something that, a mundane task that you have that you don't like doing. And then creatively think of alternative ways of approaching that same idea. But anyway, those are a couple of inventions that we'll have the segment of the show called Inventions That Already Exist that I swear I invented but didn't really. It's a long title, but we're working on it. I'm so bummed that, I'm not really bummed, because looking back, I mean, it was like 5 different takes with like getting cut off and cut off and cut off. So I don't really mind that we just went ahead and said we should redo it, whatever. And not a lot that I was going to talk about today. I didn't get to talk about. I was thinking about why public transit never works for me, or I never really. I used to go to a bus stop and just get on a bus and go wherever for however long, get transferred around and just try to end up get lost. But a lot of times, especially at night, you just really, there's a lot of seedy characters, and I used to pretend to talk to myself. Now I'm just talking to a camera to myself. Haha. No, I used to, and I don't know why I thought it would work, but I would sing to myself all crazy so that people wouldn't mess with me. I don't think that that's a deterrent to anybody, but I mean, so I'd be like, singing some dumb song, or when I thought shady people were near me. One time they tried to steal my wallet right out of my pocket. I had it in my front pocket, and this guy was like wiggling the corner of my wallet trying to pull it out while I was looking away, and I was like, dude, what are you doing? And he smiled like, and then just went back to his looking out this window or whatever. I remember thinking, like, dude, like, how bad of a thief can you be? But I mean, I like the idea of public transit, but always that's my problem with it. It's just why, like, the shady elements that just happen to be on them. I used to go on Greyhounds to go visit people in other cities. Back when I was a smoker, one of my favorite cigarettes of all time was on a Greyhound bus drive. Some small town in the middle of nowhere, Texas. And it was a real cold chill was in the air, and the night sky was real pretty colors, and it might have been a sunrise. Just the sky was really pretty. And I was smoking a cigarette on the side of the bus stop. It's just nobody knew where I was at. Nobody knew me. I was just it's perfect. One of those moments where you don't know you're going to remember it for the rest of your life, and there it is. I remember in Houston, they thought I was a police officer. They thought I was an undercover. All because some dude wanted to sell me watches out of his coat, and I was like, no, I'm good, man. What, you cop? No, I'm broke, bitch. I got no money. Can't buy a watch. I would have bought your stolen goods if I was not broke. I remember one time I was on a bus. This old lady is sitting next to me. Oh, you're such a sweet boy. And I think, okay. Where are you going? Just kind of heading out to wherever we were headed. Oh, that's sweet. Who are you going to go see? Somebody you care about or whatever? Anyway, small talking, just hanging out. Ooh, would you like a candy, sweet boy? And I said, I didn't want to be rude. All right, man, I'll take candy. She's her little fingers and getting her stuff. She goes into her bag and pulls out this lunch, like a sandwich bag, right? And there's all these loose gummies and hard candies and just loose and unpackaged. And these breadcrumbs and like cookie crumbs and just junk all over them. And she's like trying to pick out these candy pieces loose, and she puts it in my hand with like lint and like little hairs and stuff, you know what I mean? Like just cat hairs or something. And just puts a little pile of it in my hand. I'd like to think that I didn't eat it, but I think I did. I think I was too nice. But yeah, don't talk to people when you're the stuff that happened on buses, man. I remember one time this guy was being super loud and it was dark out. And he was just talking. There's a lot of people trying to sleep and stuff. And he's just, to nobody, he's just talking crazy. And then this guy starts walking down the bus, down the center, with a crutch. So he's wobbling down down this hall, just between the seats. And like, you know, I'm not thinking anything of it. I'm just hearing a guy talk loud and nobody's saying nothing. So I'm like, I guess he's just entertaining. Next thing I know, the guy with the crutch swings the crutch out from under him and just starts beating this guy on the head with his crutch. The crazy part was like that was not, as if that was not crazy enough. We're in the middle of nowhere, and the Greyhound bus driver, pulls over and kicks out the loud guy. Not the guy with the crutch that beat the crap out of him. Just the one guy that was loud. Very strange. But so I don't remember a whole lot of positive stories having to do with bus. But yeah. Next time you're on a bus, just sing to yourself out loud. I think I sang a Warrant song. But whatever works for you. Maybe like, and nobody will mess with you. Worked for me. I think I'm done. I didn't feel like doing one this week, but I'm glad I did. I'm out to work on getting an external hard drive so that I'm not doing this again or feeling like, you know, worried that it won't record or whatnot. I got to get up early for church tomorrow, so I'm bummed that this kept me up late. I'm going to be up for another hour trying to at least get it looking decent online. All right. Y'all take care. As always, thank you for listening, watching, rating, telling a friend. Message me at lostlikemike@gmail.com. Comment on the comment section below if there's any topics you'd like to talk about or anything that's on your mind, because I want to have this be a two-way street. All right. Take care of yourselves, and I will see you all next week. Thank you.